Hello everyone. So in today's video I'm going to be continuing my series of painting out all my watercolors, and this time I'm going to be focusing on the blues. There's about 30 blues here in total. I wasn't sure about including the Payne's Grey or not, but in the end I decided to leave them for another video. Right, so first up we have Kusakabe Aqua Blue. This is made of PB15 Phthalo Blue, PG36 Phthalo Green Yellow shade, and PW6 Titanium White. Kusakabe is a cheap Japanese watercolor brand that claims to be artist grade, but in my opinion it's around student grade quality. The paints are fine, but they seem much weaker than artist grade. This aqua blue is a pretty nice pastel colour, though I don't really have a use for it, to be honest. Next is Rembrandt Turquoise Blue. This is made from PB15 Phthalo Blue and PG7 Phthalo Green Blue shade. Turquoise is a colour that's never really interested me. Apart from painting like tropical waters, I've never really felt I had a need for it. Though recently I've been using it for mixing some greens and I've quite liked the results. I'm not sure if I'll buy turquoise again once this runs out, but we'll see. Next is another turquoise blue. This time it's from Mijello Mission Gold. It's made from PG7 and PB15. And also this one has some PW6 titanium white in it as well. I think I prefer the Rembrandt. It seems a bit cleaner to me. Again, I've used this one for mixing some greens recently. If I ever do get a turquoise again, I'll probably just go for a single pigment Cobalt turquoise. Next is Mijello Mission Gold Peacock Blue. This is a mix of PB15-3 and PG7. This is another paint I don't particularly have much use for. Nothing wrong with it, I just don't really need it. Next we have three Prussian blues. They're all made with PB27. First is Mijello Mission Gold Prussian Blue. Then we have Schmincke Horadam Prussian Blue. And then finally we have Van Gogh Prussian Blue. All three are very nice, but I prefer Phthalo Blue, to be honest. I think PB27's light fastness is a bit questionable too, I think. Next we're moving on to the Cerulean blues. This first one is Lukas Cerulean Blue, which is PB36. This is the only genuine Cerulean Blue I have now. I used to have a PB35 in the past, but I didn't like it very much. I much prefer this PB36. And this Lukas one is really good value for quite an expensive pigment. Next is Van Gogh Cerulean Blue. This is a hue, it's not the real thing. It's made up of PB15 Phthalo Blue and PW6 Titanium White. I don't particularly like this one, but it's quite, it has its uses in skies, I guess. Next is Mijello Mission Gold Cerulean Blue. This is not really a cerulean blue at all. It's a PB15-3 Phthalo Blue. It's one of Mijello's strangely named paints. Why they do it, no one knows. It's a decent Phthalo Blue though, and it does get used quite often. Right, so now on to the rest of the Phthalo Blues. I've got 5 more here in total. First is Holbein Phthalo Blue Yellow shade. This is a PB15. Yeah, I like this paint a lot. It's quite strong and vibrant. Yeah, just as a phthalo blue should be. Next is Cotman Intense Blue. This is PB15. It's supposed to be a green shade, I think. It's a very nice, another nice Cotman paint. I can't really tell a lot of difference between this and the artist grade ones. And of course, if you get a 21 milliliter tube of this, it's really good value. Next is another student grade paint. This one is the Van Gogh Phthalo Blue, and it's PB15. I think it's a green shade. Yeah, I feel the same about this one as I do the Cotman. Yeah, it's great quality. I've used it quite a bit in the past, and I never had any complaints about it. And it's also pretty cheap. Next is Rembrandt Phthalo Blue Red shade. This is my most used blue. Yeah, I absolutely love this paint. When I first started painting, I was a bit afraid of phthalo blues. You know, they were very strong and difficult to mix with. But I'm so glad I spent time learning how to use them. The last of my phthalo blues is the Lukas Phthalo Blue. This one is PB156. So that means it's a phthalo blue red shade. I like this paint a lot as well. It's a bit more opaque than the others, I'd say, but it's still really nice to use. Right, so that's all the phthalo blues. I think they all look great. I don't really think you can go wrong with any of them, to be honest. Next is Kusakabe Sky Blue. This is PB15 and PW6. I should really have painted this up next to the Cerulean blue hues, but I forgot I had it. Yeah, it's very similar to the Van Gogh Cerulean Blue. It's not a paint I really see myself using much, but yeah, again, it's fine in skies. Now onto the Cobalt Blues. First up is Mijello Mission Gold Cobalt Blue number 1. This Cobalt Blue is a hue, so it's not the genuine pigment. It's a mix of PB29 Ultramarine Blue and PB15-3 Phthalo Blue Green shade. As you'll see, it looks nothing like a Cobalt Blue. Yeah, it's another strange decision made by Mijello. Yeah, it's almost like they didn't even try to match the actual real Cobalt color. Very strange. Okay, now onto the Mijello Mission Gold Cobalt Blue number 2. So this one is PB28, which is the usual pigment for a Cobalt Blue. Cobalt Blue, it was my favorite blue when I first started painting, but it's a pretty expensive pigment, so I ended up just using Phthalo Blue red shade instead. I do still love this color though, and I miss using it in skies. Next is another Cobalt Blue. This one is the Rembrandt Cobalt Blue. Again, it's the real thing. It's the PB28 pigment. This is the Cobalt Blue I used the most at the moment. It's a very nice paint. No problems with it at all. Now the next two Cobalt Blues are student grade hues. The first is the Van Gogh Cobalt Blue. This is made of a mix of PB29 and PW6. I never really used this paint, but it's actually a pretty good approximation of a cobalt blue. I think Van Gogh have made a much better effort than Mijello did. The second of the student grade cobalt blues is from Cotman. This is made from PW5 and PB29. I don't think this one looks as much like a cobalt blue as the Van Gogh, but I still quite like it. This one's a bit more towards ultramarine, I think. Yeah, I actually use this one quite often, especially in skies. It's really nice in skies, actually. Now we're moving on to the ultramarines. And starting with the Mijello Mission Gold Ultramarine Light, which is PB29. This might be my favourite ultramarine. It's really vibrant and it granulates really nicely. Next is the second ultramarine from Mijello. This one is Ultramarine Deep and it's PB29 and PV15. I have used this ultramarine quite a bit in the past, but I was never really happy with it. It's just a bit too violet for my liking. Next is the Van Gogh Ultramarine Deep. So this is a student grade paint. Yeah, it's still pretty good quality though, but again, just like the Mijello, it's too violet really. I think it might even be more violet than the Mijello. Next is Rembrandt Ultramarine Deep. This is the ultramarine I use the most often these days. It's nice and vibrant and it granulates beautifully. I don't know if it's the best one here, but it's the one I seem to use. Next is the Schmincke Horadam French Ultramarine. I'm not totally sure what the difference is between French and normal ultramarine, but yeah, this is a beautiful paint and it granulates really, really nicely. Yeah, if you're a fan of granulation, then this would be the one to get. Yeah, actually, I think this might be my favorite, not the Mijello. Next is another Schmincke Ultramarine. This time it's the Ultramarine Finest. Yeah, it's another lovely paint. Most Schmincke paints are lovely. It doesn't granulate. Well, it hardly granulates at all, in fact. I think that's the point of the Finest. So if you don't like granulation, then you should go for this ultramarine. And the final ultramarine I have is the Holbein Ultramarine Deep. Another really nice paint from Holbein. It's really, really vibrant, very intense, and the granulation's nice. Yeah, it's a good ultramarine. Okay, so that's all of them. Now, yeah, they all do a fine job. Though the Mijello and the Van Gogh Ultramarine Deep are, I don't know, they're too violet really, aren't they? So next we have Rembrandt in Danthorine Blue, which is PB60. When I first got this paint, I really liked it, but the more I used it, the less I liked it. It's not that it's a bad color. It's just, I don't know. It just isn't interesting to me anymore. I think you can use other paints, can do a similar thing much better. Okay, and now the final blue is Kusakabe Indigo Blue. This is a mix of PB15 and PBK7 ivory black. It's an okay indigo, I think. I've never really used indigo in my paintings, but I might give it a try in the future. Right, so that's all my blues painted out. What do you think? Are there any particular favourites here? I'd say my favourites are probably the Lukas Cerulean Blue, Rembrandt Phthalo Blue Red shade, the Rembrandt Cobalt Blue, and the Schmincke French Ultramarine. So what are your favourite blues? Do you have any favourites from any particular brands? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.